Hey everyone! Today we're reviewing the first chapter in the latest story arc for the Amazing Spider-Man comic book series, Breaking News, featuring the famous Spider-Man character J. Jonah Jameson. Then at the end of the video, we'll get into my thoughts for the story and the general direction of Nick Spencer's time with the Amazing Spider-Man lately. Before we get into everything, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more comic book reviews. So things have been working out alright for Spider-Man lately. He's been working with his sister, a former S.H.I.E.L.D. operative named Teresa Parker. Recently, they even prevented a war together and brought stability to a nation called Zimkaria. Meanwhile, Peter has even earned the support of longtime critic J. Jonah Jameson, after Peter revealed his secret identity to his longtime nemesis. Jameson has recently been approached by former Daily Bugle writer and his daughter, Nora Winters, with an offer he can't refuse. She wants to build him a new media empire. Jonah accepts this offer and starts to work for her at a new company called Threats and Menaces, though the older man is skeptical of this new media company and chafes against its younger employees. In particular, Jonah doesn't like when he learns that Nora values clickbait and headline-grabbing articles more than actual fact-finding. Nora in turn claims that she learned a lot of this from Jonah's own past running the Bugle. From him, she learned that there are no rules or limits, and to do whatever it takes to get the public's attention. They are then surprised to learn of some news in the city. Spider-Man is robbing a bank. Jonah is surprised by this and awfully tempted by such a story, but insists his days of bad-mouthing Spider-Man without evidence are over. Instead, he steals a scooter from one of the younger employees to rush over and find answers as to why Spider-Man is doing this at the scene of the crime. The truth of the matter is this is all part of Peter's work with his sister. A villain called the Chameleon stole some S.H.I.E.L.D. tech until he was caught by the Parker siblings. In exchange for a deal including a lighter prison sentence, he gave them a list of clients he was going to sell the tech to. This in turn led them to a safety deposit box owned by a group of Midea bankers calling themselves Pluto. So Spider-Man robbed the bank to get access to the box and is now being pursued by Pluto forces. Unbeknownst to Spider-Man, while his friend Silver Sable recovers, her companion the Foreigner goes to a place called the Palace. This is a hidden facility cloaked in the skyline above Manhattan, able to teleport villains to and from the place as well as the palace itself at a moment's notice. It is a place for villains to unwind, enjoy themselves, and gamble, free from the ills of the world. They have even hacked into surveillance systems from across the galaxy so they can place bets on various outcomes in superhero conflicts. The villains watch as Spider-Man is chased down by a helicopter and nearly overwhelmed by a fleet of drones. Shockingly, he is saved at last minute by none other than J. Jonah Jameson. The two immediately begin to squabble as Jonah wants to give Peter the benefit of the doubt, and then he goes and robs a bank. Peter explains the situation, knowing Jonah is very much trying to change his ways and hopes that the truth will help Jonah understand what's going on here. When Peter is attacked by more of Pluto forces, Jonah runs off, while the Amazing Spider-Man deftly handles the floods. Later, he is contacted by Teresa, who is furious. Their cover has just been blown, and as Peter checks his phone, he discovers exactly why that is. And there you have it. This is a fun issue that I quite enjoyed. I had a lot of early praise for Nick Spencer's Spider-Man run, but found in 2019 it sort of was drifting towards mediocrity at an alarming rate. It became very dependent on events, I found, going basically from one Spider-Man event to the next, or to one major crossover to a Spider-Man event and that sort of thing. But it also felt like it was just sort of running in place. This stuff between Spider-Man and Jameson is the sort of progress and character development I'm looking for in Spider-Man comics these days, and it's a real treat to see. All of this was actually explored once, a long time ago, in the Ultimate Spider-Man comic book line when that was the thing. Back then, Ultimate Peter Parker's identity was similarly exposed to J. Jonah Jameson, and that was, in the end, a huge vehicle for change for Ultimate J. Jonah Jameson's character. He offered to pay for Peter Parker's college education, and basically just embraced him and Spider-Man and everything going on there. But in the Ultimate world, that basically happened right before the death of Ultimate Peter Parker. In 616, no such future exists, and I'm really curious to see what long-term effect this has on Jameson. I like the ending of this comic because you can really feel the frustration of Peter. He wants to include Jameson in all of this, and he wants to help the guy become a better person. In spite of this huge change in the goals of Jameson, he's still just a thorn in the side of Spider-Man, just in a very different way. It's interesting, and I do enjoy it, and it kind of balances the needs of a superhero's career with that of a journalist in a very organic feeling conflict that I quite like. So I do recommend this comic. I quite enjoyed it, and was curious to see what Spider-Man has been like lately. So far, Amazing Spider-Man seems to be heading in the right direction. There's progress, the stuff going on with Peter's sister is pretty interesting, and yeah, it's kind of weird that she just shows up out of nowhere after all this time. But Peter's whole family, from his biological parents and that whole side of the family, he's always been up to weird spy stuff, so it's not completely out of the element when something like this would happen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time here on Comic Island.